Time and again as we look at the UFO phenomenon, 50 years old and still going strong. There's a lively market for UFO information. Hundreds of books have been written on the subject, clubs have been formed, conventions held, souvenirs sold. UFO might just as well stand for unprecedented financial opportunity. Despite all the hucksterism and hype, the question remains, what about the UFO sightings that cannot be easily explained? Let's return to the 1974 NBC News special, UFOs, Do You Believe? Beginning with a clip from talk show host Mike Douglas.
According to a recent Gallup poll survey, 51% of the people interviewed believe that unidentified flying objects are real and not just figments of the imagination. And my next guests are a little more than just believers because they actually came in contact with a UFO. Please welcome Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker.
These two men are probably the best-known UFO witnesses in history. Theirs was not an ordinary UFO sighting. Many people wanted to hear about it.
The people themselves don't want to, they just are not seeking publicity, just want to relay their story to proper governmental authority.
Sheriff's deputies went to the scene.
There's no way of us determining whether anything landed here.
What happens now?
We're fixing to take them to Keesler Air Force Base right now. We're checking them for radiation, and they're going to check them over there.
UFO investigators interviewed the men.
Both of the men were able to be hypnotized. The experience, however, has been so traumatic that I thought it best that we go slow with this investigation.
There's simply no question in my mind but that these men have had a very trying experience.
They came out to a point.
At first, the men refused to talk to reporters.
Then
they agreed to talk if they were not seen. Soon, they were facing the cameras and talking to anyone who would listen. But when two men come in and say they have been picked up by a spacecraft and examined, how do you go about investigating that?
Well, all we could do is go to the scene and interview these men and really stay with these men and observe them and question them. I mean, to the fullest extent. And at no time could we, their stories were the same. We interviewed them separately and before, and then we put them together. And we monitored their conversation. I believe the men saw something that scared them. Now, like I said already, I don't know what.
A few days after the UFO incident, Charlie Hickson went back to his job as a foreman at Walker & Son shipyard in Pascagoula. Calvin Parker also worked at the shipyard, but after the incident, he quit his job and moved back to his hometown, Laurel, Mississippi.
Just to start with, I thought I was just gone as far as mentally. So I got out and got married, got a job on this chicken farm. When I was working in the oil field, they wouldn't let me work out there and they didn't pay so, because you know how much a man is, they'll harass you and all. So I quit, went to work on this chicken farm, just me and my wife, and I really enjoyed it down there now, and I've got myself back together in the past few months, and I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm doing real good now.
Do you have any notion why you were picked?
No, not really. I guess I've asked myself that question 100 times. Why me?
It is, in my mind, a hoax that's been perpetrated on the American public. The story is so fantastic, it almost challenges one's credulity.
Well, the only honest thing I can say is that they both had one hell of a frightening experience. But whether it was a real nuts and bolts hardware, something absolutely tangible, I can't say, because when I was there, I looked around to see if there are any physical effects, as we have had in other cases, where the ground has been disturbed or tree branches broken. I could find no evidence, no physical evidence in this particular case. And yet, to them, I feel quite sure they weren't hoaxing or weren't lying.
Things have been written, and many different stories have been told about what happened October 11th, 1973, on the banks of the Pascagoula River here in Pascagoula, Mississippi. we had encountered something that had to be from another world. Our government said.
Mr. Hickson's record is a straightforward account of the story he has told so often during the last year.
200 million people.
Get more involved with it.
They shouldn't need to get to care what was so killed.
Right.
Mr. Hickson is also writing a book and has taken a leave of absence from his job to work on it.
You know, something will happen to all of us some of these days, and if something did happen to me, then there will be a record of what did happen to Calvin and me.
I will announce Rennie Bradley, TV reporter on the scene, reports on UFOs. Okay, Rennie, and then you, like I said, we want the record sold, and then you'll introduce Mr. Hickson. And then after that, I'm going to take this young lady here, I'm going to hypnotize her, she's going to go back to her mommy's tummy, and we're going to go into her super consciousness, which is back into probably another world or somewhere. And then we're going to ask her questions all about UFOs. Charlie, I want you to sit next to her because you're going to feel some of your vibrations.
Sunday, I'm going to sit down with him, and I'm going to get just as close as I can of what the craft looks like.
Hey, Charlie.
I probably look worse than him.
Did you see the thing take off and go away and disappear?
I saw it leave. I can't say that how far out I've seen it, but it seemed to just almost instantly it was gone.
Yeah, and this is the examining
Yes.
thing that
Yes.
floated in front of you.
Right.
How do you feel about all this by now? Do you feel, why do you think you were singled out?
Well, I don't know. I can't figure that out. I have no idea. I keep saying, why me, you know, what does it mean? Dear Mr. Hickson, we saw you on the Dick Cavett show, and we were fascinated by your experience. We believe in the things you have been said, and do not think you are involved in a hoax of any kind. We do believe that we are not the only beings in the universe, and that people should be aware of that fact. And it's signed sincerely, Sarah Roberts and Jim Nelson.
I didn't believe him at first, just like all other people. I really didn't believe it. But now I definitely believe every word he has spoken because I have been through with what he has gone through with, you know, living with him.
It's costing me a lot of time. It's actually cost me money. But I don't know. I just feel obligated now to let the entire world, if necessary, know that these things did happen to us, that it is true.
He's a truthful man.
I voted for number 1. He looks like the kind of a gentleman that this conceivably did happen to. Like somebody said, he looks very sobered by the experience.
We have 2 votes for number 1, and we have 1 vote for number 2 and 1 vote for number 3. So, will the real Charles Hickson please stand up?
The McLaughlin Group. Saturdays at